All right, everyone. We're about to have Scott Stice on from the. He's running for Grantsville City Mayor, and we're getting him linked in right now. And then we'll get a quick interview out of him, um, and you know, get his feedback. Let him give a little bit of a plug for his mayorship. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, I don't know. Ask fire away the questions. I hope everyone's ready with their questions.
Welcome to another
Yeah.
Twilla Happy Hour.
And we might stick around for a minute afterwards. There's a couple things that we might query. We might not. We'll see how it goes. How much consumption we end up with, or however it goes. All right.
Hey, we have a listener. Oh, that's
Yeah.
me.
Someone says, "I love you, beautiful men." Hugs to you both. I imagine that's probably your wife, isn't it?
No, that was Kevin. Cassinia.
Oh, that was Ksenia.
Yeah.
Hi, Ksenia. How are you? Hugs to you too. Love you too. I gotta actually go to the place to see it, but yeah.
All right,
Hopefully.
let's share this puppy here.
Yeah, get that.
So if you're living in Grantsville, this is going to affect you.
Yeah, Grantsville, major effect for you. Humana. Lots of family there. He should be hopping on.
Scott Stice joined.
All right, Scott is here. All right, we'll just let him get warmed up. But yeah, we've got Scott Stice again. He's coming on, and he's running for Grantsville City Mayor. And we're going to let him kind of run away and tell us kind of what his platform is, what he wants to run for. Are you there, Scott? All right, well, we'll keep chatting while he got to get his microphone turned on. It's turned on my end. I think he's got to turn on his. All right.
Do we have video?
Not yet. Not yet. I'm going to send him a message. But anyways, let's we'll just keep chatting. All right. I'm going to send him a quick message off of here.
You got any new beers brewing, or is it going to be jalapeno all the way this year?
No, I've actually got an American Light that I'm going to brew next. So
Nice.
it'll be a light beer, so we'll see if I even like it. This jalapeno's been awful gentle to me. I like it.
So the contest for Grantsville Mayor, are there multiple people running, or
Yeah, you've got
Yeah?
Scott here and Neil Critchlow. We had Neil
We had
on.
Neil on. I just didn't get to
Yeah.
participate with that.
Yeah, you were off and wandering somewhere across the nation. Scott, are you there? He's pulling up, and he might be wrestling with something. Do. He might be fighting with his camera. Scott, if you can hear us, you might have to log out. Try logging out and logging back in. That's my answer to everything with computers. Anyway, so Scott's running for Grantsville City Mayor. But there's some things. Let's go ahead and I don't know. Is there anything to announce? We just had a commercial or kind of a thing. So if if coming up next weekend, you looking for something to go on, they have. I'm pulling it up right now to do some quick sharing with everyone. We just had him in, and Kevin with the Mill Pond Farms events, Pumpkin Days Fall Boutique. So
Hay rides and bouncy houses.
yeah, people, vendors selling their wares. You might have some local crafts, local arts, food trucks, something, and they're going to have a little haunted house. So that's right there on 138. That's the road that goes on the north side of Stansbury towards Grantsville. It's the house that's right next to the Benson Grist Mill. So if you're not familiar with it, you know where it is. It's a place that normally does weddings and different events. So, check it out. That's next weekend. And we've also got Grantsville has an event coming up next
Scott
weekend.
Stice joined.
So, I'm chatting with them. We'll try to get that announced. Probably look for a commercial this weekend or early next week on that. And that'll be the Honey Harvest Festival. And it's going to be they're kind of competing events, but I think both of them are good, positive events.
At least we got events. I mean,
Yeah.
we need those.
Autumn usually does pretty good. Wow, so Scott says he's on an iPad, and everyone gets to watch how things work on the backside. Anything I need to do? Turn on mic and camera. On mic and should make Dave type. I'm sure he's better at it than I am. But
It's more fun to watch you type.
yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's just oodles of fun.
I'm
But
sure
yeah.
if I had to shovel salt, that would be more fun to watch than you, though.
I don't shovel salt. I drive a tractor.
Scott Stice joined.
All right, we're gonna try it again. See if we can.
Scott, what's going on, brother?
See, he's on an iPad. What does he have to do to make an iPad work with this?
It should just automatically work. It's an iPad. They don't really have much functionality other than they just work.
This is tough. I wonder if. Yeah. Oh, this is rough. Sorry, everyone. I guess we'll just have to keep filling the time. Dave, what's on your mind lately?
Well, you told me some disturbing news today about the Federal Reserve. Well, why don't we talk about that real quick?
All right. Well, the Federal Reserve decoupled. Banks no longer have to have a reserve, so you may have seen some differences happen between your checking and savings account lately, and that's because the banks have made it so, or the Federal Reserve has made it so that banks don't have to have any reserves to give out loans.
So it used to be that you have to have 1/10 of the amount of money you're loaning out
Yeah.
to somebody,
And
right?
it's fractional reserve banking.
Now it's even more fractional.
Now it's zero.
0.
You don't have to have anything.
So you don't need any money to loan out money to somebody else. I want to get in on that. That sounds like a
Start
good
loaning
deal.
loaning money to kids to open up lemonade stands. Scott, check out your do you see yourself on the camera? Check and make sure you can get all that going, and your microphone, and make sure you can see all of that. We'll see what's going on there. I don't know.
In settings or Facebook? Probably that would be your settings. In the
To be settings.
iPad.
This Melon is not a Facebook app. It's the Melon really isn't tied into Facebook. We're just sharing it through Facebook. It's a communication thing, much like Zoom or Skype. Just gives you the ability to share stuff. That's rough.
Now you can also try using your cell phone.
Yeah, try it on your cell phone if you can get it there. We can facilitate it through there. I can send it through your email also. If you want to try it on your cell phone, then you just got to point your cell phone at yourself. Be like doing a FaceTime call, I guess. We can work it out like that. But yeah, so the banks have uncoupled any kind of
Well, it's hard to make a bad loan then, isn't it? I mean, like,
I
there's no
think-
risk.
I think it's hard to make a good loan. That's the issue. Is it's hard to make a good loan. None of it really seems to matter anymore, which is kind of scary. I don't know. We'll have to watch and see how this goes.
Well, that's how banks would go out of business in the past. Is they'd make loans to people and they couldn't pay it back and they lost money.
Banks. Well, that and banks went out of business when there was a bank run under fractional reserve, everyone had put their money in the bank would lend that out and then some. And then an economic collapse would kind of happen and people go to the bank, try to get their money back. Like in It's a Wonderful Life, you see that where everyone's in the bank, I want my money, I want my money. And they did not have the money in the safe to give them their money back. Now, granted, even without fractional reserve, you probably would not have the money because in a tactile money lending system where money wasn't spread out on computers and docket sheets, that money would have been lent out. Like
Scott Stice joined.
You would go and this is, I don't know. Are you trying it from your iPad or your phone? Anyways, you would go and lend your money to the bank, and then the bank would turn around. And what that was is that was kind of an idea where you could have a group facilitation. Whereas, like, say you needed to borrow, $100,000, you could either go and try to borrow, $1,000 from 100 people. But a bank was kind of a central organization. Yes, they made money doing it, but you would go in and apply at the bank, and other people who had already trusted in the bank would have their money in there and realize the bank had their best interest at heart, so they would lend that money out. And then they went fractional reserve banking, where the banks were backed by the Federal Reserve, so the banks could loan out. They only had to have 10% on their docket to loan out. So they could have $10,000 in there, and they could loan out $100,000, and that's because they were backed by the Fed. The Fed said, "Yeah, we're covering that." Now, it's uncoupled to where there's not even that 10% requirement, which means that most of the time, most of your loans happen on a level outside of you and me or just people. It happens on a business level or even greater. States are taking out loans. Our nation takes out loans or bonds, which a bond is crazy right now. Someone would get a bond, a 30-year bond, guaranteed at 5%. But the inflation rate is at, 9% or 13%. So that means your 5% still a negative 8%. So that means you're just losing money on a bond. So I don't know. I don't know where this goes.
Sounds like a whole new system of banking.
Well, could be, or a whole old system of banking. We are having a hard time getting Scott on here. He's waiting around, and he can't get his. I don't hear Scott at all.
Scott, go get your wife's phone.
Are you Scott? Are you trying on the phone right now?
Want to go out?
If this doesn't work with Scott, we might try to do it again, maybe tomorrow afternoon. Try to get a recording. I really want to get Scott on there. Let him jump his. Okay, so he can't hear us either. Okay, all right.
Tell him he needs new equipment, so use somebody else's phone if you can.
Oh. Yeah, the funds of podcasting. I'm sure everyone's thrilled. I'm sure everyone's elated with this. Yeah, and then we've got that's one of the news. Another bit of the news is all those merchant ships off of all the ports that can't get unloaded. That's it's a scary thought. We're running out of electronics nationally. If I don't know if anyone here, builds anything with electronics, computers, or works on cars and equipment with electronics. Try looking at how long it takes to get parts in. Some parts you can't even find. A decent video card is gone. They're sold out.
Good news. I don't know if the audience is aware of this or not, but El Salvador added on to their
Scott Stice joined.
business model where you can use cryptocurrency to purchase products in El Salvador. So when you go to McDonald's, you can buy with Bitcoin. And this is parallel to the dollar, so you can still use the dollar over there, but the dollar and Bitcoin are the official currencies of El Salvador. And we are going to have someone from El Salvador on the show
I think
towards
that's next.
the beginning of November.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. And, we want to give it time to ride out, see what the problems and issues are, or if it's working or not. So we'll have him on the show, and we'll talk about what it's like to live in an economy of Bitcoin. I think that'll be a fascinating show.
All right. Go ahead and keep talking. I am going to call Scott right now because
Oh, that's not good. I hope it's not on our end. Maybe once Scott tries using someone else's cell phone, we can.
I can send
Troubleshoot
it to
it.
myself and try it. So go ahead and keep talking. Tell the Bitcoin stories.
The Bitcoin stories.
Hey, Scott. Can you hear me?
So right now we're having our usual technical
I can hear you.
our technical issues here on the
do you wanna
podcast,
try it through your cell phone?
but it might not be on our end. That'd be the first.
Do you have the messenger on cell phone? Okay. I wonder if you're
There is
settings so there's no camera.
an article that I've noticed on Facebook about a lawsuit here in Tooele, a lawsuit for like $300,000 or whatnot, where we had a promotional company attempting to advertise our capacity to project tourism here in Tooele. And with our new system of government, the commissioners have decided to table that contract, and now we're facing a lawsuit. I'm excited to see where that'll go. It seems almost like Tooele is plagued with lawsuits. So I'm hoping that something positive will occur, that we don't have to pay that $300 and some thousand, but you know how things go here in Tooele. Anything can happen, especially in the legal industry. We always seem to get sued and lose. So if anyone has any information on that, please do share it with the show. I'm very interested to see how that lawsuit unfolds. It's a lot of money. It's our taxes. And you know what? I never really felt like us as a government should be trying to advertise tourism in Tooele. That's a private industry kind of area, and that's where we should be focusing as private industry, not trying to, I don't know, build businesses that correlate to private industry. And marketing is a private industry business. It really is. Tooele, I don't know. I've talked to a lot of people, and I think the conversation always ends up saying, what do we really have in Tooele that's special that the county next door doesn't have? And I would argue that it's a correct assessment. We don't have anything that shines or is unique that other counties here in Utah have. That the only thing that an advertisement company would be able to do is point that out. And we just got some more of the same old. Tooele is a great county and all, but I don't think it's worth taxpayer dollars to project tourism advertising industries onto the free market through government. So, yeah, that's happening. I just told him about the lawsuit we're facing.
Who's placing?
Tooele County.
Oh, yeah, about the advertising, Tooele County advertising. Yeah, I think we should. I don't know. I think
Not
we should
hire advertising companies with our tax dollars. That's my strategy.
Yeah, no, I agree. Honestly, I think I would rather see private companies try to advertise, though I don't mind a county trying to draw
Scott Stice
business
joined.
into you. So that doesn't sound bad. Now I told Scott to keep trying, so we'll see if his sound comes on. But you know, I'm of. I would rather see the community, like businesses who want to be involved with this, get together and do it, say, through maybe a chamber of commerce or something like that. But I'm not sure. I don't know if the county's the best way to run that.
I can tell you, it's probably not.
Well, it's definitely not. And it's not the best way to run that for the advertising company and for the populace of the county. Also, I don't like it when government. I'd rather see the people who stand to gain put forward the effort than everybody put forward the effort and then some people stand to gain from that. I think I would rather see it that way, but I don't know. We don't have many people hanging out after all this fun and games. But yeah, so we've got this fleet waiting off the shore. We've got an advertisement lawsuit. We've got Scott Stice trying to troubleshoot his iPad. If anyone knows anything about iPads, please.
Now, did you
let
advise
us
him
know.
to use a cell phone?
He doesn't have the messenger on his cell phone. I could probably.
I don't think he needs the messenger. He just needs an email system to get the link and click on that. That's how I
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah, I'll.
You can use your Zoom accounts and make multiple cameras through your Zoom account by just having different telephones. Click on that link. It's pretty cool.
Hey Scott, can you get your email through your phone? Oh, okay. Okay, but if not, I sent it to your email. You can try it there also. All right. Okay.
Scott Stice joined.
We're seeing if we got it now.
That doesn't look very good.
Well, let's see. Scott,
Scott,
is it coming on?
is that through his phone?
Not yet. Not yet. You know, maybe he'll try it through his phone. But anyways, so we got other things going on.
What about Grantsville? Anything going on in Grantsville lately?
Well, we've got the Honey Harvest Festival that's coming up on the 9th. And I'm talking to Lori Hurst right now. We're going to have her come on maybe sometime this weekend and have her do a quick commercial just like we just had. Something like that. Just to announce what's going on there and everything else. I usually end up at the Honey Harvest Festival because my dad usually has a booth tied into it through the Suns.
Well,
So-
I am out of honey, so
And I'm sure someone will be there selling
Scott
honey.
Stice joined.
It's not particularly, I mean, it's not just honey. I mean, there's a lot of different vendors that will be there and doing other stuff. So it's usually a pretty fun time. Pretty exciting.
so if he's trying
Well-
with his cell phone now, it's probably on our end.
Uh-huh. All right. Well, we'll just have to have you come in sometime next week.
Oh, that doesn't sound good.
Yeah, let's do 4 o'clock next Friday. All right. All right. We'll see you then, Scott. Yes, sir. Bye.
So that's the show then, huh?
All right. Yeah. So we just got, and there's not a lot of people hanging out. So we'll plan on having Scott in. So Grantsville people, we'll have Scott in next Friday at 4 o'clock. He's just going to come in person. We'll just sit down and hear his running. We've had Neil in, and both of them are nice guys. Both of them are Grantsville boys. Both of them know what they're doing. And it'd be interesting if you have a question to hear what the differences are. Also, if anyone's running on any of the city councils or anything like that, reach out to me. Right now we're running through the mayoral candidates. I am going to send a mass email out again. I've already sent one out, but I'm going to send another one out and try to get more city council members if they want to have a conversation to jump on. But yeah, I think that's it. I'm going to go eat dinner with Dave and his wife. I got some what's that wine? Malbec to taste. I don't know. What are you guys having for dinner? I never even asked that. I just
She
said
bought
sure.
a chicken, so we're cooking one of those whole chickens.
A whole chicken.
A whole chicken.
Outstanding. I like it. Yeah, I'm down.
It should be good. I already
Yeah.
just texted her, told her, hey, put it on the stove. We're gonna come over now. So I just
She
want to
hasn't
also
let us down yet.
I want to also say that, hey, if you guys got a topic that you want us to explore here locally,
Yeah.
if there's a news story or something that you want us to dig into, or you have a source that might
Or
want
you
to do
want
an
to come on
interview,
and tell us about it.
we are a very open, flexible program here, and we
Yeah.
also are looking for advertisers. Now,
Oh.
if you're a business and you can afford a few bucks every month to throw in an advertisement on our show, that'd be awesome. We're looking for some support. We want to try to bring this a little bit more, to the financial end rather than, just drinking all of Jared's beer. Someone's got to pay for it, right?
Yeah. Well, he's brewing it anyway.
But yeah, seriously, we want some advertisers. We want some sponsors, and here's something to think about, Jared. I've had people say, I'd like to put an ad on the show, but I'm worried about people and their political opinions being an influence on the business if I advertise there. What do you have to say about that?
It's a good question. I don't know. We do get kind of radical politically sometimes. I think that would have to be. Well, I honestly, I think it's good to separate political and life. Sometimes we need to. I think we all need to remove politics from our life a little bit.
A little bit, I'd say. Right now, we're overdosing.
Yeah, we need to remove it from our life. We need to. Maybe politics has become the sport, like the universal sport. I don't know. I think we all need to, and I think anytime politics goes national, you get that. Because here's what I'm recognizing. Speaking to all these people running for local offices, none of them have any ideas that I would consider radical or off the wall. They may have little tweaks or little ideas they want to do it. And none of them, I think, are seeking this to... None of them are going to get wealthy off of this, mayors. And so I think we need to focus locally. And then when we focus like nationally, we argue about dumb shit. No, I shouldn't say dumb. We argue about things, either about something the government shouldn't be involved in. The government shouldn't have a place in half of our argument. Honestly, I don't think the government should have a place in, say, the abortion conversation. I think that should be a deal between you and your doctor, and I don't think the government should have a place in funding it or stopping it, or I don't think they should have a place in either side.
So you don't think that we should be proactively policing people that are providing abortions?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
Because what's your plan with them after you proactively police them?
Well, you put them up against a cement wall and you pour lead into them, right? Isn't that the Republican Party plan?
Oh.
Or you just leave them in a jail cell to rot?
Well, I mean, what do? You have to build a jail cell. You have to do all these things.
So it's going to cost you money, and that's why the government's involved. Because whenever there's money,
Well, I don't
there's
think they
always
should be
government.
inside, because then again, you've got the other side argument is we pay for them or subsidize them or...
Again, there's money. I mean, Money's
and
going
I
from
think
point A to point B, and that's where the government wants to be.
I think
You see?
we should let doctors and patients figure that out for themselves.
We should, yes. I completely agree. But
Because you got the religious side. I think the religious side has an argument. If you're going to take my money and put it towards abortion, that's like me paying for or being a party to an abortion.
Mhm.
You don't see the Republicans or the anti-abortionists. I shouldn't say, because there's, pro-choice Republicans, but you don't see the anti-abortion people arguing about abortions in Central Africa. Because it
we don't see much of what they say in Central
or
Africa.
or
though.
pick a country, pick a region.
Seriously, though,
But-
think about this, though. How much news do we actually get on what's going on in Africa?
Well, I mean, one is what's going on there newsworthy, maybe, I don't know, but does it affect us? But I back to the point. You don't see them arguing now, regardless of what your personal feelings are, and I have my own personal feelings on them. I've made them known, but I could subdue my personal feelings as long as my my freedom, my liberties, my money, my whatever doesn't go towards either side. And if I'm not being a party to it, I can stand back and say, okay, you know. And, even though I think it may be bad or wrong or evil or use whatever extreme phrase on that, don't make me a party to it.
Right.
Don't have men come over with guns and force me to be a party to either side. Because this new law, I mean, did I tell you about how the new law, that Texas law, has been implemented first off? I read this.
For the
somewhere.
abortions?
Yeah.
I think they're just suing people like crazy, right?
First one has been put in, or probably lots of them now, but the first one I heard about. An Arkansas disbarred lawyer who was on house arrest for a criminal conviction put in the first lawsuit. You catching on yet? You want to know how he tied into it?
How's that?
He read a doctor's a doctor wrote an article in a magazine. He read it. I don't know, Abortion Quarterly, whatever the magazine is. This lawyer who has been disbarred, wearing an ankle monitor, sitting in his house. He's on house arrest.
Do you know what his crime was?
No, doesn't say. It didn't say what his crime
So
was.
he could have peed on the side of the road, and now you got an ankle bracelet.
He could be in there for whatever conviction. But
Okay.
whatever it was enough to get him disbarred. You don't get disbarred for peeing on the side of the road. You don't get disbarred for DUI. Probably not the first 7 or 8 of them anyway. Anyways, he's in Arkansas.
It's a pretty strict state. I mean, you got to
He's suing
toe
in
a
Texas.
conservative line in Arkansas. Okay, so he's suing. He found an opportunity to sue in Texas
Uh-huh.
while he's hanging out in his house wearing an ankle bracelet.
What is his evidence for the suit?
Uh-huh.
He read a magazine article written by the doctor where the doctor supposedly talks about an abortion he did. And the magazine article the doctor wrote, from what I understand, the doctor's talking about how the law is messed up. And here is why: because I did an abortion.
Well, here in America, you can sue for anything. And if you're a lawyer, cooped up in your house, you can't get out, you've got a computer and an internet connection.
So you just threw out your litmus test that the system that's broken is the system. No, the thing I'm saying is that Texas law is a law that is written to be abused, which is why I think that Texas law is the Republicans of Texas firing a shot across the bow of the Democrats of D.C., which is why I think some of the laws coming out of the Democrats of D.C. are shots across the bow of the Republicans of Texas and Florida, which is right now we're getting into partisan political warfare.
Now, this law, does it also make it illegal for people to do abortions on themselves?
Ooh, there's a tough one. I don't
What
know.
if you can get the Abortions Are Us kit, do it on yourself, and then who do you sue? Who do you sue? You have to use violence. You have to have men in
You understand how
jackknife
the law's
boots.
written. The law's written so that somebody has to bring a civil suit against the doctor that performs the test. You can't bring a suit against the mother.
Anyway, so yeah, advertise on our show. There's nothing political going on
It's
here.
crazy, right? That is the craziest law.
Yes. You know, I have a hard time swallowing the abortion argument from either
Dude,
end.
I'm not a fan of abortion. I'm not. But as long as I don't have to be a party to it, I just don't want to know. I don't shout your abortion. Don't charge me for your abortion, and don't stop people from living their lives.
I think you actually got a comment on this.
I know
issue.
we've got a comment. I'm kind of nervous to read because that's a in-depth comment, and someone's going to.
Someone thought about this one.
Okay.
So that's the last time I'll do my spiel about advertising. Huh?
The money issue when it comes to abortion and the religious sect crying over how their money is spent is bullshit. They don't have any issues when we bomb cities. I don't think either of you are old enough to remember the 60s when women were dying in alleys after getting illegal abortions. There is a reason that we got Roe versus Wade. Can anyone here, including you, dear listener, tell me Roe versus Wade, what was it argued on? What constitutional law it was argued on? Because I can tell you which one it was. But can anyone tell me?
Well, why wait, Jared? Fill us in.
It was a First and / Fifth Amendment argument. It was the argument that the Roe versus Wade argument was an argument on First Amendment, that they First and Fifth, they can't come in and go through your papers and things, and they can't ask the doctor to force you to, or they can't. The state can't force you to open up your medical records. That's kind of funny that you argue Roe versus Wade right now when what's going on now. Now, the money thing. Yes, you are correct. There are some people who are okay with their money being spent in violent ways overseas. I am not one of those people.
Well, I don't think people really see their money spent that way. I mean, it's more like...
It's a good point, but let's argue off of what she's saying.
All right. Well, how do you know it's a she?
Or he. Let's argue off of what they're saying.
Well, there's many more genders than that, Jared, so don't be so
Let's
exclusive.
argue off what Zer's saying. I am not okay with them spending money overseas, nor am I okay with them spending my money on something that I would not want to spend my own money on. And I do not consider that bullshit, nor would I want to force you to say pay for a chapel in a church that you don't belong to or
buy Bitcoin.
disagree with.
Yeah, I would never want to force someone to buy Bitcoin.
Well,
But they should.
I'm going with an argument as for her for the Zer argument towards us. Would you be okay if you had to pay for or be party to paying for a state religious institution you didn't belong to? There's a reason we have the separation of church and state. When you argue against religious people, you're arguing against private citizens still in the United States, because the state cannot pay for those things. That's what the separation is. Now, some people argue they want to start taxing religious organizations, and I understand there is a romanticism to that. But the minute, let's say in Utah, you started taxing the LDS church, you give the LDS church levity to openly get involved in politics. Right now, they can only get involved in the shadows or, through citizen members.
Loopholes.
But not loopholes, through indoctrination of citizens. But if you start taxing them, they become a forward organization that can actually get involved. And I don't know exactly how that looks, but I'm sure I am not a religious person. I am an atheist. Pure blood atheist.
And I know I don't want women
And-
dying in alleys because they get illegal
And they
abortions.
say, but it's okay for the church to get involved in the shadows. I'm not saying it is. I'm not arguing that it's okay with that. I'm just arguing it's better that they're involved in the shadows through citizens than it is that they're openly involved where the church can raise a state, can raise, I don't know. Let's look around the world and see how things go. I mean, do we want a theocratic law to show up here, like where you can't talk about, you can't talk like this comment you made? If the church is involved in the state, the church can openly force bills in, which the church right now in the state of Utah could force new bills in, but they don't because we have separated them from the state. We get them involved, and they could.
They do fund their servants in government indirectly somehow.
They donate to them, but churches.
It wouldn't surprise me.
One, I don't think churches can donate to political offices.
Right, but how do you know that it happens when you?
Well, I'm sure it does but they've got to do it through their individuals, through their citizens, versus a church being able to do it. Do you think a church that bought City Creek on a frickin' whim couldn't force anybody through any political office in the state they wanted to if they could force it through? When they do it through a citizen, through a member of their church, they have to do it with that limit that a citizen can donate.
Like the City Creek Mall, they provide special favoritisms towards those restaurants that can stay open on Sunday versus not. When they pay a fee or something.
Private business, it is what it is. But do you think, and you're missing the argument, do you think that a church that has that wealth couldn't force through any law or any political person they wanted to if they were allowed to?
Even if they're not allowed to, I'm sure they have their ways. And I think that's what the listener's trying to get at.
Yes, I agree. But by keeping the separation of church and state, we restrict that to where they have to do it through member citizens.
I'm glad it's not legal because it makes it more difficult.
But
it's not impossible.
That's all I'm saying.
And I think that's what we're all trying to get at.
That's all I'm saying is we want to keep them away.
As restricted as possible. Right.
Yes. Prop 2 was a crock of crap. We have argued that on this show with people who voted for it, with people who went against it when we voted for it. We have argued that. We have. We're with you. I am an extreme libertarian. Extreme. I don't want to restrict you at all. Also, I don't want to have to pay for things you do that I may find goes against my personal morals.
And you know what? In conjunction with that statement, Jared.
And I don't want you to force.
Now, hold on.
Say you don't drink beer. I don't want you to ever have to pay for
Let me finish my statement. In conjunction with this personal opinion of yours, if a business does advertise with us, they're also getting that opinion that all freedom is good. Freedom is always good. Freedom and responsibility is better than the exact opposite. And if your business is advertising on our channel and promoting that opinion,
try not to curse in the
you should be supporting that business. So if you say, I don't want to put my business on your podcast because I don't think freedom and responsibility is good for the society, what you're saying is you shouldn't shop there at that business. And that's what I'm trying to get at with or am I trying to? Somehow it just ends up there. I don't even have to get at that. It just ends up there.
I want to stay on this abortion for a second. Let's say, I don't know what the price is of abortion nationally, or how much money goes to agencies from the federal government.
I think it depends on when you actually perform the abortion during the process.
In whatever. Honestly, I want to stay out of it. I don't want to have to be involved in it.
But you can't. Your money's going towards the process.
That's why I want my money to not go towards it, so I can.
So you're involved, and you're saying, I don't want my money to go towards that process.
Let's say everybody who was pro-choice, let's call it a third of the country is pro-choice. we'll go with the thirds model. So 33.3% of 300 million. That'd make it, roughly 100 million people. If they all went in and threw $10 into a pot, imagine what you could do with it, and then no one would have an argument, or people still would. They would still have arguments. I'm not delusional, but they wouldn't have a leg to stand on to try to get the government to defund you because it's privately funded then. And the way you
they
manage,
could ban your PayPal, freeze your accounts. There's plenty of ways the government can go about doing it. Just like they do to the Second Amendment.
There's lots of
businesses.
ways you could go. They could go for stuff. I mean, they're doing that all the time to all sorts of stuff. But what I'm saying is the average voting person who's on the opposite third. Then you got that third in the middle who, swing or whatever. But then that opposite side couldn't point at a congressman and say, "Why are you letting this happen?" and whatever else. Congressman, I don't know what you're. I'm not letting nothing happen, and that's any congressman. They could point at the furthest pro-choice congressman. Why are you letting this happen? And that congressman's like, "It's not a bill that come across my desk," and that's and I prefer to see medical stuff. I prefer to see medical stuff handled between the patient and the doctor, such as with the current medical stuff that's coming down now, whether someone wants to change their gender or someone wants to do anything else. Someone says I am pro-choice, but I do not think the government needs to be involved in abortion. I agree with Jared. Leave the choice to the place of business, aka medical practices.
And I think that's the majority of people in society. I think a lot of us have that opinion. Unfortunately, the leaders that are supposedly able to represent us are influenced by not the average person's perspective, but rather large corporations' perspective. So what's best for them seems to be what goes onto the political table for passing bills and whatnot.
You guys want to hear some deep conspiracy on this?
Oh boy, here we go.
What if the politicians on neither side don't care, and they use it as a bludgeon to separate us rabble, to keep us roused against each other, so we don't stop and look at. They just opened up the banks to rob the wealth of this nation. That we don't stop and look at some of the laws coming down are economy destroyers. That the prices of food in the stores right now are getting close to doubled. That the availability of goods is going down. Go to your store and look at the products they have in there and how thin those shelves are getting on products, and that's you could almost go universally on products and food.
Today it's electronics, tomorrow it's food. Yep.
Today it's food.
Today it's food. Yeah. Well,
today it's food.
Not at my house. We're having chicken.
No, go to the store and look at what they have stocked. It's not the same as it was, a year and a half ago. So what if they get us arguing about this abortion or about whatever separating us, so that we don't see that they have screwed up? And I'm not saying they even did this intentionally, like there's a evil cabal. I think they're people like us, Please don't ever put me in charge of the economy. I'll be the first to tell you I don't know what the hell I'm doing with it. That's too big.
I'd say that's better than what's going on right now.
It's too big. It's too big to be controlled out of one central location. It's too big to be controlled out of one central bank.
Let it flow.
It should be, distributed and spread out. I think you could manage it. Like I can run an economy of my house, I'd probably get a C+. But You know, what if I just think of yourself? What if you had to run the economy of your house and two others? Do you think you might, kind of pull your hair out a little bit? Now add a street on it, just the street you live on, Would that pull your hair out? Now throw down an economy of billions. To what is 337 million people. Piece that together in your mind. How do you run that? And then mistakes are made, but God, you got this job that has the best benefits on earth. You make, there's commas in your paycheck all the time. How do you admit you screwed up and lose that? Or how do you add to the interest percentage to kind of force the economy back into regulation and take the hit for that? The last chair of the Fed we had that did anything like that was Volcker. That was under Reagan. That's how long ago it was.
I don't think I was paying attention to politics back then.
Were you alive then?
Oh, yeah. I had a cactus named Ronald Reagan.
My grandpa had two pigs, Fidel and Gorby, the commie pigs. That's what he called them.
Commie bacon.
Commie pig. But anyways, I want you to think about that. We can get mad at Yellen right now or whoever's going to be in charge or whatever, but could you imagine running that? Imagine just running a region like Denver. We fall under the Denver region. Imagine running that. It's Denver, Utah, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Arizona. Well, half of Arizona, if I remember. Nevada, Nebraska. God, imagine just trying to fit all that in. How much needs to flow here? How much do we need to release and loosen and everything else? But now a nation, and they're running negative interest rates. Now what that means, negative interest rates, if you bought a house or a car in the last little while, interest rates are pretty good. On a house, what are you looking at? 2.5% on a car. If you got good credit, you're looking at 3.5%, 4%, maybe close to 6%. That floats a little more depending on the bank. But when they say negative interest, that means your bank, not even your bank. That means the bank that your bank goes to get a loan to fill their reserves. That means that bank pays negative percent off of the money that it's borrowing from you.
So in other words, when you borrow money, that person makes more money from the other end as well.
That region is borrowing money from you. Actually, borrowing money from your grandkids.
Because I'll never pay it back in my lifetime. Yeah, there's so much.
Well, right
debt.
now, this new bill that Biden put forward, I think someone ran the numbers. It's something like $11,000 for every man, woman, and child in the United States. It's just this bill they put forward that's that tall.
One bill.
15,000 pages. I don't think a bill should be any bigger than a tweet.
All right, so you know how people go out with petitions and ask for signatures from constituents and whatnot? I did that in Lake George, New York, with a bill that was exactly focused on that issue.
See, we need to get that done in every town.
Now, hold on, Jared. Let me finish. People looked at me like I was insane. They're like, we won't get anything done if we implement this type of process.
What do you mean we won't get anything done?
That's what they said. They didn't want to sign my petition because they have to put everything in one package and make it huge. That's what the citizenry was. Now, this was 2008, 2007. Maybe citizens have possibly awoken to the awareness of this fact, but that was young me going out trying to inform much older people that, you know what, maybe our bills shouldn't be so large. Maybe we shouldn't put so many topics into one bill that gets passed with a yay or nay.
Well, how about that the people saying yay or nay haven't read it? Can't read it.
Physically impossible.
How many? Well, maybe not physically
Unless you got a
impossible.
team. I
Well,
mean, think about it,
well,
15,000
One guy
pages.
could even read it. You just have to
Come
give
on,
him
Jared. When was the last time you
You have
had
to
1
give him-
month to read 15,000
Oh no,
pages?
1 month. You got to give him like 7 months. I mean, they put
Yeah.
the bill in. It's voted on next year,
And
you
they
know?
might give him 7 days.
Yeah, if that. Sometimes overnight. But no. Here's what I'm saying is, man. But so when they borrow from the Federal Reserve, the divisional, the district banks or whatever, they pay negative interest, and those are owned by private people. The Federal Reserve is technically owned by private people too. It's not. The Federal Reserve isn't federal. The Federal Reserve is liberty to print money given to a group of people in your name. So whatever they print is you. That's what you must recognize. That when they print money, that's you. They're printing money in your name. That you're held liable for that, or
At
someone
your
is.
expense.
And then they give that negative interest to the bank, right? To the initial banks. And then those initial banks give out to another bank, which that interest rate might go up then, 1% or whatever. And then it goes up again and goes up again. So what we have done is we have taken a loan out on ourselves for 3% interest for people in that top and middle to get that loan for free, to get access to those funds. Not just for free, but they make money off it. A fractional reserve was crazy in itself, where it was 10%. You had to have, if you wanted to loan out $100,000, you had to have $10,000 in there, and you could loan out 100 and you could make the interest back to you on 100, but you only had 10. So you were making interest for money you didn't have, and money that you didn't have to grind for, money that didn't exist. You made money off of something that didn't exist. Like I sold you, magic. I mean, this is Keynesian economics in a nutshell, And then we wonder why everyone runs in debt, why no one saves any money. We went from a nation that saved and people had delayed gratifications, which, yeah, sounds uncomfortable, but it also kept prices low. I mean, even in the last few years, I don't know if anyone's went to buy a pickup truck, but I want you to think back 10 years ago, how much did a pickup truck cost? A brand new one, right off the lot.
God, weren't people like trying to avoid buying pickup trucks?
But no, I just want to say, how much did one cost? What, $34,000? Less than that usually,
Mhm.
4-wheel drive, half-ton Ford, I think was like $28,000. How much does a 4-wheel drive, half-ton Ford cost today? You ain't walking off with one for less than 50. That's in 10 years. What is it going to look like in 5 more? What is it going to look like when you have to kind of cut the food back, like beans and rice becomes a much more stable. I've been to a foreign country. I remember in Korea, they eat meat once a week.
You'll be eating beans and rice tonight, Jared.
Yay.
And you'll like it.
Yeah. But no, in Korea, they eat meat once a week.
Well, that's because they got fish. How often do we get to eat fish?
I said meat. Fish is meat.
So they eat fish once a week, or
Meat, period.
I don't know.
They-
fish is different.
They
It
eat
just-
rice 6 days a week. And once a week, they eat meat. We are spoiled over here, but we earned it.
Hell yeah,
That's
we did.
going away. And it's going to go away through 2 things: prices and availability. We can't get truck drivers. Can't get parts for trucks to repair them when they break.
A lot of
We can't-
people have adjusted to this shutdown, and they're living off of less. Especially single males. Single males of working age are saying, "You want to know what? There's no reason for me to go out and bust my ass."
I'm a single male of working age.
Okay.
And
Well,
yes, I am saying all that shit.
You do have a kid. A lot of.
I don't have a kid. I have an adult son.
Well, he ain't gonna get a place in this
Why not?
market. So, You know, I mean,
maybe I'll
people
give him
depend
this
on you.
place. Maybe I'll give him this place.
But
I'll
Jared,
run
what
away
I'm
to
what
the
I'm
woods.
trying to say is people have learned to adjust to this new
Sure.
economic situation, and they're not going to go back.
I'm not
without.
disagreeing. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
There we go. We're back. I'm not disagreeing with you. But this new economic situation didn't affect the last 10 years. We've got a comment right there. Read that comment for me.
My father-in-law's 2018 Ford F-350
F350. That's a
was 87,500 in
2018
when it's first sold. He bought it used and of course didn't pay that much. Haha, but it kills me on the price of things because that is inflation and that is what we're all going to suffer from unless you put your money in a deflationary currency. And yeah, welcome to the new world. I've got a Kia Rondo I'm trying to sell for $5,000 if anyone wants to buy it. It's 2007 and runs like a champ.
There's our first advertisement.
There we go.
It's not paid though. Damn cheap ass people. So no, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just saying. I think we've jumped the shark when we started getting the federal government involved in everything. The reason the 10th Amendment is in there is on purpose. We need to pay attention to that. I think states could deal with this, like any issue, even national defense. I think states could deal with. Straight up, I honestly do. But any issue, be it from abortion to the financing, I think each state should have its own currency, and that own currency would be judged by that state, and currencies would trade with currencies. You would see it so that Texas plays around with stuff, and no one wants, I don't know what we call them, the star or whatever. It's blue and silver, their money, Everyone wants to buy in Arizona because in Arizona, they're doing good, and we're going to bolster that. And everyone's going to swap their stars for the Arizona, which tells Texas that, wait, we need to pay attention to what Arizona's doing. Maybe they've got a more fiscally sound practice, or maybe they're just running their state better. Maybe their state's easier to start a business in. It's more profitable, therefore the Arizona grows. And it goes like that, and it swaps around. Then there'll be some states that never get traded into or out of, You might get like an Alaska. But of course, Alaska would probably be a heavily traded one because it has a lot of natural resources that the nation doesn't let us touch.
Competition, open market competition.
We need to free up Alaska. But there's a lot of laws written in Washington, D.C. I don't know if anyone's familiar with the nation geographically, but they're written in Washington, D.C. Okay, right here. We'll go right here for stuff that's over here. They're writing down laws where that affect, they're worried about natural resources, which I agree with. We should. But don't you think the people that live over here recognize the natural resources better than people that live right here? Let them fight and argue for what they want to see happen in their regional area.
Scroll down there. There's another comment.
There's a lot of comments. We'll get to them in a second. But, we need to think about it like that. We need to let states manhandle their own areas. That's the way we were designed. It's written right there. It's 10 paragraphs in. That's how important it was. It made it to the frickin' top. Almost as important as the freedom to speak and think and practice and that, which obviously is the most important and should be. Next one after that is the ability to defend that first one.
That's the Second Amendment.
The third one got added in. Maybe some might argue on a fluke. We'll see. The future might change that.
Which one is that?
Third Amendment. You can't house, military people in your... military people can't be housed in your house except during your time of work. Can't be quartered in your house. But, that one might have got added in on a fluke. But we got to remember, right when they wrote that had just stopped happening by force. where they would come and stay in your house and drink your food, drink your liquor, eat your food, drink your wine, and then also search your stuff.
Read your papers. Yep.
And then people who got forced to house these British soldiers got arrested.
And then the house
Got tried.
became the British soldiers, probably.
Well, it usually became the governors, which was a British, region. But anyways, I want you to, just think about that. And not that this show's not going to change anything. Not on the nationwide level, not on even the statewide level. I mean, I know I have hopes for a nation, but hopefully we get Scott Stice in. We'll have him in on Friday. We'll chat with him. I want to hear what he has to say. What he's going to do when he runs for Grantsville. Let's run through some the rest of these comments. All right. I'm not naming any names because I'm ignoring people. I'm not naming names because it says Facebook user, and that usually means, it comes in on Facebook, and sometimes our program doesn't break down who it's from. And leave the bill to the persons who choose the procedure. I don't know if that's a comment or I mean, it is a comment. I do like, that's leaving the payment, the price of it. And I agree.
That's on the abortion topic.
And it could be done through charity, whatever else. Lots of things could pop up. I just don't like to see it done through the government on a whole. And it's another cudgel that they use to divide the populace. So none of us are sitting here arguing about why is our money being stripped? Why is the wealth of the nation being stripped? Everyone's looking at, hey, my house price went up, 20% this year. No. The desirability to get out of the dollar did because it's inflating. That's what it is. There's a demand. People are buying houses not to live in them because they don't want dollars. That's it. It's not because your house suddenly, got better. It's because they don't want dollars. That's all it is. No one wants dollars. Everybody's finding different places to put it. Why do you think right now, when businesses can't find employees, the stock market is raising? That's what you got to ask yourself. Why? Businesses that are barely making it by are getting people flood money into there. Because even that is safer than the dollar. It's got to scare you.
It's going to stop sooner or later. It's like musical chairs. The music will stop.
Another Facebook user said, nailed it. All right. California is a perfect example of too much government oversight. Your state falls apart and people leave in droves. And that's a good point, yeah. California has a net loss of people right now. We'll see how that goes. Maybe it keeps going. We'll go and play a little game. Me and one of my buddies like to call Flip This State. It's like Flip This House. Do it on the whole state. So I don't know if it's used as a distraction, but I have no doubt that some politicians base their viewpoint on the demographics they need for votes. 100%. 100%. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you'll ever run into a politician that's, I don't want to say pure is the word, but that is forthright with their internal feelings. I don't think so. You might have some people that want to be politicians that look at where they want to run and decide their points of view according to where they want to run.
That's a good strategy. Yeah, and just like you said, though, I mean, like, you can have your point of view, but if it doesn't match the population's point of view, you don't get elected.
I think I would rather have that as a politician because that person's looking at his populace and saying, I'm going to do this because that's what they want. Versus one that, let's look at Ilhan Omar. Ilhan Omar had a vote last week. She caught a lot of flack for crying on the floor of the House. The vote was to defund the Iron Dome in Israel. Now, I have my personal feelings on whether you should defund it or not defund it, and my personal feelings conflict with my own personal feelings. Or not Ilhan Omar. I'm talking AOC. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Sorry.
I'm sure Ilhan cried too.
Well, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Illinois. So you had 7 votes that voted yes, defund it, and 400 and whatever. Actually, I think it's 170 whatever voted to keep funding it. Now AOC, who speaks out against Israel all the time, speaks out against the Iron Dome, speaks out against financial support for Israel, military support for Israel, speaks out against that. Now she cried on the floor. I think that's because everyone likes to give her flack because the bill to defund it didn't pass. I think she cried because she had to betray her morals and feelings on that. On that vote, Illinois or Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, I should just call her that instead of confusing her with everyone else. She didn't vote yes or yay. She didn't vote nay. She voted present. She had to betray her own feelings to keep her position where she's at. That position is with the Democrat Party. Now, she is the senator for the Bronx.
There's a few Jewish people that live there.
I would say she hasn't been a politician for the Bronx at all. She's been a national politician. AOC, I'm sure, in her heart of hearts, feels like she should defund the Iron Dome. But she can't vote that way because she is a Democrat. And I'm not saying this is bad about the Democrats, but the Democrat Party wants the Iron Dome. And there might be multiple reasons. You know, my split sits between I don't like giving money to this, but also between if we stop paying for it and a rocket gets through, what is the aftermath of that? You know, more people dead in Israel, a lot more people dead in Palestine. If Palestine, okay, I should say if Hamas did successfully get a rocket in that killed, say they got a rocket in, did mass damage, 100 Israelis, how many Palestinians do you think would die for that?
Oh, I'm sure there'd be some retaliation.
So I want you to think about that. That's the juxtaposition in my mind. I don't know how to deal with that. It'd be nice just to pull out. Anyways, but yeah, politicians, they got to go with where they are. Go with who pays for them. And the Democrat Party pays for AOC because it doesn't matter. Like I think it was Nancy Pelosi said that what did she say? A fork would win in AOC's district if it had a blue D on it. I think that was her words. So, it doesn't matter. AOC's got it. The only reason AOC beat out the other Democrat, because AOC actually ran. He just showed up. We're going to round this out real quick. All right. You do realize that the same issue they were fighting about the first time you were old enough to vote are the same issues they fight about right now. Yeah, that is very
Cyclical.
true. Well, it works. Why change the system? Why break that up?
It's like when bell-bottom jeans come.
And I don't even think it's
fashion.
evil. I think it's convenient.
Mm-hmm.
What politician wants to get up there and say, "Hey, we're falling apart"? You know, let's keep them fighting. You know,
Kick the can.
When you've got the Antifa and the Proud Boys out there fighting each other, you know, why mess that up? That's the news is watching them. The news isn't watching what the politicians are doing. Okay. Thank goodness I shop what I can for Melanie's Health and Nutrition. I know she is in tune and takes into consideration what her patrons want. Yeah, and you know, I like Melanie's.
Where's that? Where's Melanie's?
Melanie's down in the strip mall by the UPS store. I think it's like right next to between the UPS store and the GameStop, that strip mall.
Okay. Yep.
You know, Cow Ranch parking lot area.
I'll have to go check that out.
All right. I am 45 and I just purchased my first home. Utah was not an option. We purchased in the Vegas Valley because the cost of homes are much better, and they are, you know, and that's the crazy thing, you know.
I wonder how much different it is in the Vegas Valley than here in Utah.
I don't know. And that's subject to change, price and demand. If Utah suddenly lost the demand for people buying property here, we would be sitting on what? You buy a house for, $400,000 and you turn around and it's worth, it could drop down. It could lose 3/4 of that. It could drop down to 100,000.
I would say it's a pretty safe bet that housing prices won't be dropping anytime soon.
It's safe right now. We are running out of water. That's a fact. For sure. I don't know. I love listening to you guys and the point of views you offer. Everyone has a voice, and it's very interesting to see all the many voices that make America, well, America. Yeah. Hey, I admit, I'm a crazy person with crazy ideas. Honestly, if I was not me, I wouldn't listen to me. But I have my own thoughts. I agree, and I'm not here to. I just want people to be able to seek out their life. As long as it doesn't hurt someone else, man, fight for it.
I think we make both sides think about what it is that they're talking about a little deeper, because we try to find the good in each political spectrum and what is advantageous to us, the pleb, versus the patricians over there in the Red Lobster tables.
I like using the rabble. I always enjoy calling myself the rabble. That way I can be roused.
Oh, you're roused. You get roused a little too easy sometimes.
Yeah. Anyways, everyone, thanks for joining us. We will have Scott on next week. It'll be a little early. Be a longer show next week.
So he's going to come in person, right?
Yeah, we're just going to have him come in person.
I'll be the one zooming in, probably.
Yeah. Either that or I can go over to his house and see if I know how to work an iPad. I should send Dave over. He knows how.
He's going to have to get a laptop. Hey, if you're going to run for mayor, you're going to have to get a laptop.
Mayor, if he wins, the city should provide him with one.
Oh gosh, never mind. Just buy your own. Trust me, you'd be better off.
Actually, if I was in political office dealing with political things, I would demand it was done on a government computer that they track, they record. I would,
Well, the last time you worked for government was probably a while ago, Jared. Let me tell you. Right now, there's so many security features on government computers, you can't even do your job.
That's even better. You know what? How many security features do you reckon is on the president's computer?
I don't think Joe Biden knows how to use a computer.
Okay, whoever. A senator's computer.
It's probably multiple.
Do you think like what, 10-minute sign on?
But let's
How long would it take for
if
them?
I'm the president, I'm going to get whatever I need on my computer pronto. If
Okay.
I'm the safety guy in some stupid base somewhere out there in the middle of nowhere,
Dude,
I'm not going to get anything on my computer when I need it.
Breaking my heart when you're telling me we are bogging the government down. You know this. My heart is bleeding for you. That the government, the people who steal money from me on the daily, that we're bogging them down, that we're making life complicated. How long do you reckon it takes for you to sign on to your computer?
Honestly, you really want to know?
Yeah.
20 to 30 minutes.
Not long enough.
No, seriously, it takes me 20 to 30 minutes to log on to my computer sometimes.
No, seriously, not long enough. I want you to start on Monday. You work Monday through Thursday, right?
I like to think of it as an enjoyable hobby.
You work 40 hours a week, Monday through Thursday. Okay. I want it to take 39.45 hours.
Don't say that because it probably will.
And then I
shortly,
want you to bump on magically and place the comma on that email you started sending 7 months ago and then have to clock out and go home. That's how I want it. I'm not kidding. The government, I'm tired of it. Rapists.
Yeah.
Anyways, thanks for joining us. We'll talk to Scott next week. Dave will be zooming in. It's glad to have him in house once in a while. and then I won't see him again forever. We have lined up, we're talking to, Mike Lee has a challenger.
Oh, that's right. We
Yes.
have that coming
So
up.
Mike Lee's challenger will be coming in, a Republican challenger.
And we are reaching out to Mike Lee, too. We're,
Yeah.
we're actually
We've
putting
been
a lot of
trying.
effort into it.
We are. We send him messages. The reason I want to hear a Mike Lee challenger, I want to hear where a person with the same political leanings as Mike Lee sees that Mike Lee may have left a hole.
Yeah, because this challenger is not a Democrat.
No, it's
Not a tattoo
Republican.
artist. Not a
Well, no, she's
not a scientist. She is a Republican
A
with her own perspective.
a Republican, and I want to hear. I want to hear where she says the gap is. Not that. I forget his name off the top of my head. Dang it! Not that the Democrat that's challenged him. I don't even think he's a Democrat. I think he's an independent that's using the party as a machine, which we should all look at. If you want to run for politics, I think you should, take a serious look at if you can fit into either political party and then run your morals and conscience in there. Do it. Run with it. And I don't think it matters whether you're Republican or Democrat. Just, unless of course you're a freedom hater, then, I'm not going to enjoy that. But I think if that's your morals and ethics, you should run with that. I wouldn't enjoy that. I wouldn't enjoy living under that.
It's good to hear that perspective, just to have an appreciation for your freedoms. Yeah.
Yeah. Boy, there's some. I'm telling you, don't go on Twitter right now. Don't go on Facebook and read what some of them are saying about their fellow man. Holy cow.
Let's wrap this show up and
All right, I'm going to go
dinner.
eat some chicken. I'm going to leave Dave here. I'm going to go sit down.
I'm sure that'll fly well with my wife. But anyway, so that was our Tooele happy hour. We're cutting it off a little short today, but thank you for tuning in, if you did.
One more. I'd like to hear what they have to say about the clusterfuck of the VA. I've got a
Which
show.
one?
I've got a show planned for that, and this may be my friend who's coming on for it, and we agree. The VA is has a lot of holes in it. Has had holes. Continuously has holes. It's a sad state of affairs. But we're gonna have Buddy Art on as soon as he's ready. We'll put a show together. Art will come on, tell his story. Art. Yeah, that's Art. I would like to see. Honestly, I think the military should be ran by the states. I think National Guard should be the military. What about the Navy? I don't see why the National Guard in California, Washington, Virginia, Oregon, Florida, Texas could have a split guard, but couldn't be a Navy. I don't see why not. I don't see why, states couldn't select whether they want to have a mixed military or whatever. And let's just boil it down to the states. Boil it down to the states and figure out how to give some levity to the federal government under National Guard laws, but boil it down to the states. Let the states enforce this. We have to declare war. That's what I think. But I'm a crazy person. All right, Art, we'll have you on. Let us give us a couple weeks to run through these political guys, and then we're going to have you come in, tell us what you got. Tell us your story. Maybe we can come up with some thoughts. I do think a state would run it better every time, 100%. And states are god awful at running it, but I think they'd run it better. All right, have a good week, good weekend. Be safe. Don't anybody go out and get hurt. Humna.
Stay free.
Stay free.